Hello, gaming tankers. We are back with a subject that you may think I am crazy, paranoid, confused, or flat out wrong. That's why we have the comment section. So, it's really shocking to believe that Cold War mode has only been in the game for 2 years while we're celebrating the 10-year anniversary of World of Tanks console. So, when I say that Cold War mode is still in the experimental phase, as you know how the modern age of, well, it's a free-to-play game, we make changes and updates and improvements as we go, so we put a product out and then we just fix it later. Although a lot of games are just going that way now, even if they're not a games as service type deal. But then you can argue, but World War II mode, 10 years old, a lot of time and practice at refining tanks, and shouldn't this be a more polished and smooth version? Well, Cold War mode has a lot of new tank mechanics coming in, and there is always that feeling of, oh, we're introducing a new tank, a new mechanic, a new feature, and it might work, it might unbalance things, it causes glitches, etc., etc. You know how updates go. But when you play light tanks from each era, you can feel a shift in their performance. In Era 1, light tanks, I think, wargaming, and I think it's safe to say, are balanced. The Bulldog is powerful. The WZ-132, the Chinese light tank, is a solid platform. And it's also where moments do occur, especially when there's too many of them, where light tanks could unbalance the matchmaker and be the deciding factor, I should say, of which team wins. And I think it's also why in the 2 years of Cold War, Era 1's the only era to not have a premium light tank. Premium heavies? Yes. Premium mediums? Yes. There has not been a premium light tank in Era 1, and I kind of feel that wargaming, or the console division, may be semi-protecting or be overprotective of Era 1 in those regards. And that's interesting, but frustrating, because we've seen how lackadaisical or almost unthinking they have been with Era 2 and Era 3, i.e. the Vital Tow and Object 477A. Hey, all the fun we had with the Armadillo, that was a light tank that had ridiculous speed and concealment. And now we're dealing with that again with the Vital Tow in Era 3. But you see where tech tree light tanks are getting interesting. Okay, we have the German light tanks are here. I'm working on that line right now. But here's where you kind of get the sense of which era has its own meta. In Era 2, you have mediums. That's the main tanks for that era. Yes, we started off with the M60 line, and then we had the T72 line at the beginning. Now, why do I say medium tanks are the meta for Era 2? Well, there's a lot of medium tanks. But you can counter that with yes. But Era 2 also has some of the best ATGM capable light tanks in the game. BMP2, the French TCM ATGM. I'm not going to try to remember all that alphabet soup there. Hey, the Sheridan, lovely tank. But here's the thing. the French light tanks. You could argue the WZ-122 with its multi-weapon system of the 4 ATGM launchers and its power gem really started this shift, but it was the French tank line that probably is the biggest threat to light tanks. And by that I mean, this has happened before, it's the smash, the blast with the main cannon, and then go brrr with the autocannon. And you watch your health bar for your BMB-2, your Sheridan, just disappear. And at the same time, this was brought up in a Ricky Tikitabe video of, it's kind of hard to scout nowadays with light tanks. It's hard to get that assist. It's hard to play that traditional World War II type of support, i.e. you are the scout, you detect the tanks, your team then engages. Mostly because in Era 2 you start having the medium tanks keeping up or surpassing, in depending on what light tank you have, the light tank. So it's, yeah, in Era 2 it's the medium tank that can sort of almost do it all. And they're not as small and nimble as the BMP-2 or the BMP-1, but you kind of get that feeling, it's like, I really don't need to play a light tank. But light tanks can still hold their own. The WZ-132-3, no, the 132-3, I've been playing with the light tank mastery, and I'm loving it. I'll be doing a video on that because I think we've all forgotten that tank. We really have. But then again, you have premium tanks like the RDF-LT, which is a lovely and powerful tank. Era 2 light tanks can still hold their own, but there will be instances where they're starting to fall behind. In my opinion, it's the shifting point. Because once you get to Era 3, light tanks suck. And to sort of emphasize my point, all these clips were all taken in one long stretch. I've edited out some, I've trimmed them a bit, so there's a lot less static screens. But this was originally 46 minutes of gameplay, edited down a little bit, of just the M3A2 Bradley, the top light tank for the American tanks, along with the other standard boom snout. This tank, the M3A2, is supposed to be like one of the best ATGM capable light tanks. It's not. I was utterly surprised at the struggle of this tank. But I shouldn't have been surprised. I have the British VFM. I've gotten, now I have the M8 AGS, Stingray 2, BMP-3. I shouldn't have been as surprised, but I was, because now we have, those tanks have strengths. Mobility, all across the board with all those three tanks. You can debate, yes, ATGMs, when they hit and they pen, they could do 1,000 damage. They could ammo rack and completely remove a tank in one shot. But in Era 3, you have to hold your target. And in many cases, 2 shots from an MBT will remove half your health bar. All because you're trying to stay on target. The fire and forget medal you get for causing damage over 600 meters to a tank is such a bullshit medal, because it's like, no, when I fire the ATGM, I can't fire and forget. I have to stay on target. The Calliope in World War II is fire and forget, not in Cold War. So you have to expose yourself and remain exposed until you either just say, all right, I have to break target and hope I don't get wrecked, or I stay on target and hope that the ATGM does damage. Thankfully, Some of these things do have, and now back to where you have the standard boom sound, like the 105, so pretty much across the board is what all the other non-ATGM light tanks have. Well, unlike the 105 millimeter boom sounds in Era 2, your penetration's crap. You've got to aim, you've got to be on the sides, and you've got to flank. Or track and hope the other MBTs do the damage you can't do from the front. Meanwhile, you're taking damage, you could get rammed, your health bar's melting away. Cue the French light tank again, going brr, or now the Martyr 183, which I had a lovely experience in a play session with the M3A2, where it was shocking how appalling the autocannon for the M3A2 is compared to every other. It was across the map, top of hills. I think it was Eisenberg. My missile missed, so I went to the autocannon. I got 4 shots off. By the time the first round got to that Martyr, it was sending a wall of lead towards me, or I should say APFSDS. They penned. My shots missed. Some of the returning fire did miss, but it was just, oh, this tank is, the light tanks in general are so, they're great against each other, but once you come up against MBTs, you're screwed. And that's kind of where I'm saying there's going to be a future update, hopefully, where light tanks can kind of return to their original purpose of scouting. Although not all of them need to do that. Obviously, the M3A2 Bradley here, it's fat, it's slow, and it might hit hard. I try not to use the premium ATGMs too much, but it is the definition of a support tank. It's i.e. a tank destroyer, really, because this should be staying back. Some people can't handle that notion of a light tank being sitting back and shooting, but yeah, that's what you do with ATMs, really, because you sure as heck are not going to be running around like you would with the BMP-3 or the Martyr 183 and running and gunning. You're too big, you're too slow, and that's the problem also with the traditional boom snouts, like on the Stingray 2, BFM. You can get into the dog pile, but you'll take more damage than you'll dish out because you'll probably bounce, and with the rate of fire being similar to that MBT's, they're gonna get that damage again. It's, if you see, I'm serious, try this before you comment. Play light tanks in each era and watch for 5 matches each and just really see that shift. And that's why Era 3 light tanks, I think, might be actually the beginning of the sign that light tanks could be in jeopardy. It depends on how the future goes. Era 2 is also somewhat protected now. It's that sweet spot for wargaming. It's a sweet spot for all of us. You know, it's where everyone ends up playing together. It's, you know, the public part. But over these 2 years, I've definitely seen a shift in the power and capability of light tanks. And this is more of that whole, well, in the future, am I predicting the future, or will things change so quickly that, okay, light tanks are balanced, they're no longer weak or overpowered. I'm worrying they're just going to get too weak. I'm waiting for that one medium tank line to just become the dominant force in Era 2, maybe even Era 3. It all depends, penetration balance stuff. So, if you like my little attempt at a conspiracy theory here, if you think I am foolhardy or you enjoy this ridiculousness, please like and subscribe. Comment down below on your thoughts on light tanks in Cold War mode, because I sure as heck know that playing light tanks in Cold War mode have definitely made me a better Cold War or World War II light tank player. But with that said, hope you keep the tracks in the ground and oranges in your favor. Catch you in the next one. Bye. Oh, before I forget, I'm going to upload the entirety of all of this footage without commentary so far if you are really interested in see how I experienced and what happened here as I attempted to do well with the M3A2. If you don't have to do that, but I just feel like putting up all of my evidence. Thank you. Bye.
attention here.